I need a horse.
We don't have horses, just dogs, cats, birds.
And give me one of those large enough to ride.
So I realize this is totally the wrong prop for this movie, but the stack cupboard did not have a whole lot of options. Let's write up a report for our data. We have our models, we even have some plot. And I don't think I'm going to start with the intro because that's hard. I've found it's a lot easier if you come back to the intro like at the end. I want to mention that I am using RStudio and regression and my alpha level. Now you don't have to follow the order that I'm doing this or the order of the rubric. I'm going to mention that I had good residuals. I'm going to do my R squared and S right here, which are 0.93 and 2.958. But I don't want to see students trying to copy my exact wordings. There's multiple ways you could say it. Here R squared is as a percentage, but here's a different way to explain it. You don't need both these sentences. I'm going to include both those sentences so you can kind of get a feel for different ways you might talk about the R squared. And S, you could just say we expect predictions to be off by this. I did double that to say they could be off by that much on a regular basis. There's lots of different wording, and I want you to find the wording that makes sense to you and will make sense to somebody else. I want to put my prediction equations in here. Fortunately, I've already done that work in my R code. I just need to make it look nicer by writing it a little more clearly and getting rid of the hats. And as complicated as our model was, a client could easily look at this and understand and use these prediction equations. This was the way we did it in one of the videos, but a different video showed all one prediction equation, namely this guy right here. I can also use him. It's a different style, and I still need to go through and get rid of the hats because that is our code. And when you're done, you need to tell the client how do they use this Lexmark thing in an equation that's supposed to be with all numbers, so the client understands how they plug in 1 or 0. That way they have all the pieces they need to use these 5 categorical variables by using 0 and 1. You could also, if you want, make a little note about the baseline, which is canon, means that all of those are 0. I think that a smart client, which is what we're assuming that we have, would be able to look at this equation and follow this little key right here and use that. Which way's better? Do you like having the different equations, or do you like having one equation where you then explain the categorical effects? That's up to you. It's a personal choice, and I know students who swear by one or the other. I'm hoping you'll find out what your style is. Now to answer the question, which printer company should we go with? And this is made up data, so I'm hoping not to get contacted by any of these companies. This does not match. Hold on. This is the problem of messing up your palettes. This is the old lettering from the default settings, and I changed the palette somewhere to show it in a video, so now I got to go through and fix my legend. The magic pause button while recording. Okay, so there we go, and we can see the different companies here, and I want to comment how this company, it didn't seem to increase. That looks like it's Xerox. This company here, it increased a lot. That's Panasonic. I'm not actually certain if they make printers, but I assume they do. And I'm certainly not intending for this to be an anti-any company, but just for fun, let's pretend they all had different slopes. How would you talk about it? Well, I'm certainly going to point out the interesting ones, the bottom and the top, and the others, I think someone could read that from the plot. So now I can conclude what I think, which it depends on if we're talking about being small on the pages amount or high on the pages amount. And that's a good conclusion. I never did do an intro, so let me not forget. I told you, coming up with an intro that makes it sound like this is important is always easier to do last. And now I'm just pausing the video thinking, what else could I have? Future studies ideas is a pretty important thing. Not that as a statistician you're required to come up with those, but we're in a really good position to think about what kind of lurking variables might be important here. Before I claim this video is done, I want to go through some of the rubrics, try to make sure I haven't forgotten something, because you'd be surprised how often people turn in an assignment and there's a piece of the rubric they just forgot. Always look at that rubric and make sure there isn't a piece left out. Okay, I think I've got it. It's kind of a terse report. Some people like to write reports that are more verbose. That's fine. Don't copy my style. I think we're ready to look at some other examples.